Hey everybody, it's Dr. Reiser. Welcome back to another Whiteboard Wednesday. And today's special topic is about one thing that's clearly lacking this time of the year, and that would be sunlight. And as we all know, and we've talked with many friends and family, that the early darkness is something that we just do not enjoy this time of the year. In fact, it's 5:30 right now as I'm doing this video at the office, and it is pitch black outside. So as we know, it tends to affect our moods and our health overall, but there's a lot of things that we may not understand about losing sunlight during this time of the year and really how it affects our health. Vitamin D is obviously the biggest one. I've made some videos about vitamin D in the past. You can scroll down in our Instagram and check those out. But there's going to be 5 things I'm going to talk about today about how lack of sunlight actually does affect your body more than vitamin D. And specifically, we're going to talk about UVB rays. And UVB rays are going to come from the sun. You also have UVA rays that come from the sun. And UVB rays are important because we are obviously talking about production of vitamin D, but we're going to be talking about other substances that UVB rays help us produce in the body. Polypeptides and hormones would come to mind. And when we're obviously working through the day, and when you go to work it's dark, and when you come home from work it's dark, you're not getting these necessary UVB rays to help produce some of these hormones and polypeptides through the year. That's why we tend to get more sick in the wintertime. We don't feel as good. We have seasonal affective disorder in some individuals. So what I'm going to talk about are these 5 things, how UVB rays actually help us and why we feel probably better in the summertime. And then what you could do, or what you could purchase at the very end of this and spend about 5 minutes each day during this time of the year so that you can actually enhance your body and get a little bit healthier. So kind of touching on UVB rays again. In general, during the spring and summer, we're outside. We get a good full spectrum infrared rays from the sun, especially at sunrise. If you get outside, you'll get some good full spectrum rays. Midday is when we're going to have our highest level of UVB and UVA rays, but it's actually the best time to be outside because those UVB rays, as you're absorbing them, they actually will protect your body from any kind of ultraviolet damage later on in the day. Okay, but obviously we're talking about this time of the year, so what can we do, or what does UVB rays do, or the lack of UVB rays do to us? It's a mouthful, UVB. So these 5 things we're going to start out with right now would be, number 1, when you absorb UVB rays, your body's going to release something called beta endorphin. So beta endorphin is a natural opiate, okay? So it's a natural opiate that releases into your bloodstream, and it helps with 2 things, relaxation and pain tolerance. So you actually start to relax more when you get some of this beta endorphin release, and the pain tolerance, you start to experience less pain basically. And that's so as I'm going through this, probably you're going to say, well, yeah, I actually do feel good when I have some sunlight. But that's number 1. Number 2, we're going to talk about calcitonin gene-related peptide. And calcitonin gene-related peptide is what's called a vasodilator. So if you are somebody with high blood pressure, being out in the sun, it actually lowers your blood pressure because it's going to open up these capillaries and the arteries and veins in your body. And so it helps protect against high blood pressure, helps protect against vascular inflammation, and then also protects your cardiovascular system against stress. Okay, so that's why, again, the UVB rays are important if you are somebody that has cardiovascular issues. Third thing we're going to talk about with UVB is substance P. So this is what's called a neuropeptide. Same effect as far as cardiovascularly. It's going to promote blood flow, okay? And it's going to regulate the immune system in response to stress. So key in on that, because we just talked about lack of UVB, especially this time of the year, we tend to get more sick, but that's because we're not releasing substance P. So if we can get some UVB light during this time of the year, we increase our substance P, and we can have a better immune response, especially if we are stressed out. Number 4, adrenocorticotropic hormone. All right, this one is going to have everything to do with your adrenals. Again, another polypeptide hormone. It controls cortisol release from your adrenal glands. And as we know with cortisol, I've made 1,000 videos about it. It is a stress hormone. So if it's regulating cortisol properly, that means you're going to wake up and feel refreshed. You're going to fall asleep easier. You're going to sleep through the night better. You're going to have energy through the day. And obviously cortisol, we know, is an inflammatory agent and helps regulate the immune system. So if this adrenocorticotropic hormone is doing all this regulation for cortisol, then your immune system is going to feel better, and obviously inflammation will start to go down. So Another benefit of UVB, last but not least, is your melanocyte stimulating hormone, another polypeptide. And you hear the word melanocyte, so we're obviously talking about darkness of skin and skin color. Now, here's the cool part about this one. When you're more tan, you might experience some of these things I'm about to talk about. Increased libido comes from this. When UVB rays hit your body, you are actually going to decrease appetite when you have a tan. Okay, so when you absorb UVB light, you're going to release melanocyte stimulating hormone, this polypeptide, and you'll actually have a higher libido and lower appetite. So you'll actually not crave things and not overeat. So those are your 5 big things that UVB light helps us with, and this is why you may experience the side effects of not having these things when you're not getting UVB light. So you're probably saying, Dr. Reiser, great, that's cool, that's awesome, but I can't get any light because I leave for work when it's dark and I come home when it's dark, and I work in an office all day. And the windows, some of you might say, well, what if I just sit in a window? That actually still blocks UVB and UVA rays. So what could you do? You could obviously go outside 5-10 minutes. I always recommend this to patients that have low cortisol in the morning. Get outside, get into the sun, absorb some of those UVB rays. Or if that's not possible, I'm going to pop this up over here. It's called Spurdy. Spurdy is a vitamin D UVB light. And you can actually shine this on yourself 5 minutes a day, and you will start to absorb UVB light from this device. And then the 5 things we just talked about today will start to be released in your body, and you can experience all the good things from the sun without ever needing it. Okay? So that's how we can get around this. I definitely suggest using this. I want to say thanks to Deborah, one of my patients I spoke to over the weekend. She was asking about some of these light products, and it made me kind of think, what could I do as far as a good Whiteboard Wednesday? Now, I will say this Spurdy is not the same thing as a sun lamp or one of those box lights, okay? Those are going to be for blue light and that kind of stuff. It's supposed to help with depression. I'm not talking about that. They can go one way or the other with those, and as far as I'm concerned, I haven't done enough research to comment about that. However, the UVB light lamp here, I do recommend, and it's only 5 minutes a day. It's really easy, and you will improve your health drastically through this time of the year, especially if you live above Boston area. If you kind of go across the United States where Boston is, anybody that lives above that line, that latitudinal line there, you tend to absorb very few or very low amounts of UVB rays, even in the sun this time of the year. Research found after about November through February, you barely absorb any, barely produce any vitamin D in the sun at that point in time. So very important for those people, supplement with your vitamin D too. If you don't know how to supplement with your vitamin D, scroll down through our Instagram and find those videos and get your vitamin D levels tested. I can't stress this enough. Get your vitamin D levels tested so you know an accurate look at your lab range so you can then accurately dose yourself, all right? So if you have any questions about this, fire away in the comments or DM us. Grab one of those lamps. I'm not affiliated with them, so no promo code, unfortunately. But these are the things that we're talking about this time of the year, and if you're experiencing a lack of any of those things, for sure grab a lamp and get some UVB rays. See you later, everybody.